Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul with Lisa Scholz, a video series about psychic phenomenon, mediumship, energy healing, and much, much more. My name is Lisa, and I am a professional psychic medium. I'm also a body talk practitioner, which is a type of energy healing, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also a lifetime student of the unseen world around us, always curious about how we can harness the energies of this world and beyond to feel most supported and to be our best selves. Today, I have my fabulous friend, Nicolette Vajtay, who is a feng shui consultant, because I thought it would be interesting to talk about the ancient art and science of feng shui. Nicolette is the owner and CEO of Inspired Living Feng Shui, and she's currently located in Seattle, Washington. However, she has clients all around the world due to technology and also her love of travel. So I've known Nicolette for several years now. You've helped me to feng shui my office and my professional space. And I thought that now that we're all stuck at home due to the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020, that this would be a perfect time to talk about feng shui and how we can all feel supported in our homes now that we've taken our work and our school and sports and brought it all in. So, yes. Nicolette, welcome to Soul with Lisa Scholz.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. It's an ideal time to just take a look at your space and go, what's going on in my space?
Absolutely.
Is my house supporting us, or are we causing more problems?
Well, and I think many people are probably in the latter part of that right now because, when this all came on so fast, where it was like one day, all of a sudden, okay, no, school's canceled. And now, it's like, how it was. It was just like every single day, it was like more restrictions. And none of us really saw it coming. Right. And so we've had to bring school in and work in and sports in. And I think many of us, our households are like upside down right now.
Yes.
Chaotic. Yeah. There's things everywhere that, normally there aren't. So it's really a good time to, I think, focus in on like, what can we do? How can we feel better at home? Because we really don't have another place to go right now.
Right. We are really stuck, and we're working on different schedules and different structures. And how do we settle into that while still sort of thriving at the same time?
Right.
Right. Rather than it depleting our energy, how can it continue to feed our energy in a positive way? Everyone's getting tired.
Yes. I definitely can feel that. Mm-hmm. And so how would you describe what feng shui is? What is it?
Okay. Yeah. So feng shui is the energy of your space.
Okay.
So feng shui is what's happening in your space. And you can walk into a space and you can have a reaction to the space, like you want to run away, you want to hide, you want to eat, you want to cry, you feel depressed, or you feel happy, or you feel elated, or you feel like you can rest and rejuvenate. So whatever's happening in the space, that's the feng shui of the space.
Got it.
And when I go to do a session, I look at the feng shui and I see, is the feng shui of the space depleting the energy, or is it supporting the people who live there and uplifting the energy?
Mm-hmm. And so I would imagine that you would also have to really kind of get to know the people who you're working with, right?
Like, oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not just intimate. A one size fits all.
No, it's very intimate. Like every body is different. So every house is different. Even if you have two of the exact same house floor plans, but you have two different people, the feng shui will be different.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. So I could walk into my neighbor's house that had the same floor plan as mine, and it felt totally different, even though the nuts and bolts were all the same. How did you find out about feng shui? How did you come into this? Like, what made you decide to be a consultant?
Random. It was so random. I read a book in the mid 1990s.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it. And I was just playing around with the principles of feng shui with friends. And girlfriends would get together, we'd laugh, we'd play, and then we'd have results. And it was just interesting and remarkable. And I was in a corporate job that I was kind of slowly dying in. And so I dove deeper into feng shui, and I put an ad on Craigslist back in 2003. I put an ad on Craigslist that said feng shui a professional organizer with feng shui principles. And I literally had a business in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I got, some schooling, and I went through the certification program, and I went to China and I studied in China. And it's been, oh gosh, I'm starting my 17th year now. So a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know you're amazing because you've helped me with
So
my
good.
professional and my personal space. So it's just exciting that you did it that quick. It's meant to be, right? That
Yeah.
it's literally meant to be. I tell this to my clients all the time, that if you have to fight up against something constantly, that might not be for you. But if it just
Right.
flows, if it's easy, then that's something you should really pay attention to, that maybe this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So,
thankfully I was listening, right? Because it's very easy to go, oh, it's just something. It's,
we do it all the time, don't we?
we dismiss it, talk ourselves out of it. Exactly. Yeah.
So feng shui, I think most people associate feng shui with the home, right?
Yes.
That's, even more so than an office space. We think about our house. So how does feng shui work in a house? I mean, aren't there like sections of the house that are different? Like what do you call those? Aren't those like bagwas or something? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. And actually I pulled up a screen to share with you. So let me find that screen real quick. So this is a bagua. Okay. So the bagua is what we call the energy map in feng shui. And the word bagua is a Chinese word, and it's very simple. It basically means 8 images or 8 energies. So ba in Chinese means 8, and gua means images. And the images are referencing these 3-line trigrams in each of these 8 sectors.
Okay.
Now, those are like an astrological chart, and they tell a feng shui practitioner all sorts of different influences that we incorporate into a session. But for the moment, you just need to know that the images are these trigrams that relate to the life value or the energy in each section. Here on the left, we have the wealth energy, the fame energy in the middle, and on the right, marriage, and all the way around. There are 8 of those life energies, and then the middle energy is the health and wellness energy, which tells us
like balance.
It is total balance. Yes, it's the Tai Chi symbol. It's the perfect yin and yang energy. And to have health and wellness, we want to try to balance all of these energies in our life. Wealth, family, children, creativity, career. We want to try to balance all of those. So what we do now, because we don't live in octagon-shaped houses, right? We live in square houses. Here's a sample house. We literally take that energy map and we stretch it over a floor plan.
Okay. So you make it into a square.
You make it into a square. You just stretch it and make it fit over your floor plan. And then those same energies fall in the same place. Wealth on the left, fame in the middle, marriage on the right, relationship, and then all the way around. And when a practitioner comes in to your home or your office or wherever, I look at those areas and I see, where is it dark? Where is it cluttered? What room do you not want to go into? What room is maybe painted the wrong color? Where's the furniture or the decor misplaced? So it all starts with the bagua, the energy map.
And this is the same for everybody, right? Like this bagua, it doesn't change. That's not what changes.
Right.
Okay.
Very wise.
Yeah. So the bagua is the same for all of us. And, to put it in the square makes it easier than looking at the octagon. I think the average person can get lost looking at that. Like, where is northeast in my house? Where is southeast? And there's so much information out there about feng shui, like even just doing a Google search about it. Like, I think it's really valuable to have someone like you come in to like really be specific and narrow it down to what your family needs.
Yes. And even more so because there are about 12 or 15 schools of feng shui that can contradict each other.
Yeah.
So for our viewers, this is the Black Sect Tantric Buddhist school of feng shui. And this school lays that energy map or the bagua at the front door, no matter where your front door is. Yeah. So even if your front door is over here in the center, you lay it there, or maybe your front door is on the side of the house, right? Because sometimes houses are built sideways. You lay the bagua at the front door, and that gives you the directions of the energy.
Okay. Yeah. So
Mhm.
then, so when I'm not wrong in saying, when I tell somebody about feng shui, okay, go to your front door, and then what's on the far back left of the house is the wealth corner.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter if your house is facing sideways to the street. It doesn't matter if it's straight onto the street. It's just the front door is where you want to lay that bagua.
In the black sect tradition, you lay the bagua on the front door, no matter what. There is compass school feng shui, which is very directional and very math driven, like your astrology and the year the house was born and the year that you were all born in the house, and very mathematical, and the bagua would be different.
Okay.
Then there's several others, flying stars and compass school and landform, and so there's so many different variations because they all came from China. And back when the feng shui was first sort of explored, you couldn't get from village to village without walking, right? So you would have ocean feng shui, mountain feng shui, desert feng shui, forest feng shui, because all based on the energy that was around us and how we harness the energy of nature and bring that into our homes. So if you're living by the ocean, the feng shui is going to be different than if you're living on top of a mountain.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense as to how it would work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are all home for this COVID 2020 pandemic. And as we talked about earlier, everything is coming into the house.
Yes.
You know, our jobs are coming in, even if maybe one parent worked from home, but the other one was in the office. Well, now that other person is in the house.
Right.
The kids have all their schoolwork in the house. They're being homeschooled. They have their activities for, after school, activities that are going through Zoom in the house. So what are some things that we could all do, even though I know it's very unique to each family, what are some general things that we could all do to feel more supported during this time? Because I think many of us have houses that are kind of upside down right now.
Agreed. So, okay, excellent question. And I'm going to start by saying that remember that middle Tai Chi symbol, the perfect balance, the yin yang symbol?
Yep.
There is yang energy. And yang energy is the bright, the active, the sun, the out there. It's when we go to school, when we go to work, when we go out and play soccer, when we go out to gymnastics. It's all out there, right?
There. Okay.
The yin energy is the softer, the quieter, the more mellow energy when we come in here, right? And the home is the yin to the yang of the outside world, right?
Right.
But now we've got all of this outside world in the house. So we have too much yang energy in the house, or too much dynamic energy in the house.
Yes.
So we can all feel a little crazy about that, right?
Right. For sure. For sure. It's stressful. Yeah.
Things you can focus on with creating more of a yin environment in the home, I think has to do with like having a time in the day where you turn off your electronics, right? Because electronics are yang energy. And if the home is all yang, you want to turn off, you want to set, 8 o'clock, all our electronics are turning off. You want to make sure there are no electronics in the bedrooms. No, don't go to bed with your laptop or your iPhone or something. Again, it can disrupt your sleep. And if the energy around us is so yang, it might be that much harder to sleep. We need a yin environment to sleep so our body can rest.
That, I think that's so interesting too, because I would imagine there's many people, and myself one of them, that since this pandemic has happened and we've been home, I haven't been able to sleep very well, and normally I can. So maybe that's part of it too. And I don't have, TV and things like that going before I go to bed. I know a lot of people who fall asleep to the television.
I do too. Yeah.
That's definitely not me, but I wonder if it is just not having that set time where everything is off, that maybe that's part of it.
And having a set time, now that we're working from home, if you're not comfortable with working from home, you need the boundary of when am I working and when am I not working? Right. Yeah. So if you're going to bed at 9 o'clock, but you still have your laptop because you're still working, your personal schedule is different than if you had gone to the office and then gone to the gym and come home for dinner and then had a bite and then watched a little TV and gone to bed. If at 9 o'clock at night you're working because you can, because you're home, it's disrupting your natural cycle.
Yeah. Or maybe for so many parents who are now homeschooling their kids during the
Yes.
day, they think, oh, I'll put them down and at 9 o'clock, I can get my work done,
Right.
because from a practical perspective, that's the best they can do right now.
Yeah. And if that is the best you can do, is still set a time for yourself when you're going to stop working. So you're telling your body, we're not working anymore. We're going to relax now. So you can the whole body can start to rest and wind down.
So it's not just within us. We have to pay attention to the energy within the home too. Like what you were
Yeah.
saying, the
Oh, right.
yang energy is too high, too late into the day.
Right.
We need to bring in the yin energy, which is what the house is used to.
Right.
Most of us, we are out all day, we're doing our stuff, and then we come home to eat and rest. And then we take it all back outside.
That's right. Yeah.
But now that everything's in, we just have to have those internal boundaries now within the house, meaning those kind of boundaries, so that we can again rejuvenate the house with that yin energies, because we're all feeling it. We're feeling it if we don't have that boundary.
And you can, like, at a certain time, you can start dimming the lights in the house.
Okay.
You can change the music that you're listening to. Instead of, upbeat, dancey, rocky music, you can put on softer music to just artificially create the yin energy that is naturally there when we have a regular structure.
Yeah. So kind of have a transition time.
Yeah. And during the day, you want to take advantage of the yang energy outside. Sometimes during the day, if we're stuck inside, we're too yin inside during the day. So you want to, since we're home and we have a little more flexibility, you might say, I'm going to work for 2 hours and the kids are going to study for 2 hours. And we're going to go outside for half an hour and kick around a soccer ball.
Okay.
And we're going to get some sun on our face. And
that's good for your mental health too. I mean, we just need that.
Yes, exactly. And maybe during the day, if you're working in a darker office, you have to turn on the lights just to increase the yang energy in the house.
Yeah.
Depending on if you live alone or if you live in a dark space or a bright space, you want to find the balance of the yang energy being during the day and the yin energy being during the night.
Okay.
The evening and night.
And it's that, again, is also unique to all of us too. Yeah.
Yes.
We could have a really dark house. Maybe we have a space that doesn't have a whole lot of natural light. So what can you do to bring in more light? Is it bringing in more lights, or is it going outside, like changing the, color of the walls to brighten things up a bit? What do we need to do?
Yeah.
So it's kind of reassessing all of it, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And natural light, I mean, lamps are excellent way to bring in light. Open the windows. Oh, you could just even open the windows and doors and get a fresh breath of air in the space too.
Yeah.
To clean out some of the stuck energy when the house is almost too yin, it gets stuck.
That brings up an interesting point too, because here we're taping this in April. And where I live, spring hasn't really sprung just yet, you know? So we're coming out of winter where the house has been just naturally closed up. The windows aren't being opened. The doors aren't being opened, any more than just coming and going in and out of the house. So we have all that kind of stuck energy from just winter.
Winter. Yeah. It's a fun cure as you move into spring is to wash your front door.
Oh, okay.
Which is soap and water. To really get in there and wash the front door, and you're washing away the dark and the soiled, dirty energy of winter.
Okay.
You're just washing all that gray away, and you're setting the intention that you're welcoming in a fresh new breath of air, to come into your home.
Because the doors, like if you don't have a storm door, should you do that to the storm door as well? Because I'm just thinking of like hail, snow, wind, all that, the dirt environment. And you can, even just with cleaning a house, right? Like you can go into a house that's dirty, and then you go and you clean it and you feel better.
Yes.
You feel better. It really does feel better. So if you wash your door, you wash your storm door or your regular door, depending if you have one or both, then you would just feel better, right? Because that takes away all that old energy. Yeah. And it invites new in. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because in the Black Sect school of Feng Shui, the front door is called the mouth of Qi.
Okay.
Excuse me. Qi being life source energy, oxygen, the energy all around us, right? So if that's the mouth of Qi, if that's where all the new energy comes into your space, and it's dirty or soiled or not painted or, you know, in disrepair, all this great new energy is crossing the threshold at that door.
Okay.
So you want your front door to be really nice and clean and pristine and well and painted and no squeaks. And the front door is the most important architectural feature because that's where all the new energy comes in.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
Try to balance the home, right? And to balance the home, there are several things. When a parent, let's say, is working in their home office, they should have office hours.
Okay.
Right? Where mommy or daddy is not disturbed.
Okay.
So that they can do that yang activity during the day that they need to do, whatever they need to do. The desk should not be pushed up against a wall with the back to the family.
Okay.
The desk should be placed in command position so that you can see into your office space, so you can see into your life. You can see what's coming toward you, being in command position.
Okay. So you don't want, let's say you're, someone's walking, like if I were to be walking into someone's office, home office, right? I would not want to see the back of them. I wouldn't want their desk to be away from like the door, right? Because then they're kind of shutting down to their house, their family.
Shutting down all the other energy. Plus they are pushed up against a wall, and then their opportunities that are ahead of them, in front of them, are blocked by the wall.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense? So command position is being able to be at your desk and see the door from your office. Like right now, my door is behind me, so I am out of command. But when I work at my desk, I'm turned around so I can see my door. So I'm in command.
Okay. So just to clarify, so it's okay if the desk is up against a wall like yours is. It doesn't have to be in the middle of the room. You just need to be in the command position, meaning your chair has to be should be facing the door, right? Or being able to see the door versus, you know, having the door be behind you.
Right. Because I can't see who's coming at me. I can't see what energy is coming toward me.
Yeah.
So that means I can't make the best decisions in my business or in my family.
Right. Okay.
Right? So it's ideal not to have your desk pushed up against a wall like this, but sometimes you have to. And if you do, you want to either artwork or a mirror in front of you that represents depth, a piece of artwork that represents depth, or a mirror so that there's depth past that wall, so that the wall doesn't become an obstacle.
Okay. And so would you say that people would feel differently with their, I mean, like people would literally feel different if their desk was as you would have them. So they'll feel different.
I've moved hundreds and hundreds of desks. I'll give you one quick story. There's a client of mine, Barbara, who she called because she couldn't really get her business up and running and stuff. And I said, well, you really should move your desk. And she kind of fought me. She had some resistance. And then a year later, she called me again and said, can you come back? I really want to do another session. And I said, well, have you moved your desk? And she said, no. And I said, well, I'm going to come and tell you to move your desk. And she's like, okay. So by the time I got to the session, she had her sons move her desk to a whole new room in command position and everything. And she said, I can't believe how different it feels. If only someone had told me. And she said, you told me a year ago and I didn't listen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So was her business better?
Yes.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. Everything.
So she was more productive and
much more productive.
Reaped the results of that as well.
So feng shui is really like, how is the space affecting your nervous system? So if I can't see, if there's noise out there behind my door here and I can't see what it is or know what it is, I can get scared and afraid. Yeah. And now my adrenals are pumping adrenaline through my body and I'm stressed and anxious. Like, how am I going to get my work done? So just from the energy of the body being at rest while you're working, you want to be able to see where you're going.
I love that. You want to be able to see where you're going, even literally, right?
Literally.
Even if it's just the doorway.
But
you want to be able to see where you're going. You don't want to have your back to those new opportunities. If we think about like a door opening a new door is going to open, right? Well, if your back's to it,
you can't see what's coming your way.
You can't even see it. You don't even maybe know that it's there.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
I want to say one more thing about people who are working from home now. Many people won't have a designated office space. right? So
Right.
sometimes they'll have to set up their laptop on the dining room table or the kitchen table.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
just something I wanted to suggest, that if you are doing that, if you are setting your laptop up on a table that you're going to be sharing a meal with your family, you want to make sure you pack everything up and remove it from the room. Take it all out. Take the laptop and the notebooks and the whatever spreadsheets, and take it out of the kitchen. So
Mhm.
that's setting another boundary, is that work
Okay.
time is over. And the dining room table in feng shui represents our financial stability, and
Oh,
it's our ability to nurture and nourish ourselves, because it's a
okay.
table.
Yeah.
So we have to nourish ourselves this way mentally, but we also have to nourish ourselves this way. And if the work items are still on the table,
Mhm.
splitting the focus energetically.
Okay. So you can use the table for your desk if you need to,
If you
but
have to,
when,
yeah.
if you have to, but when it's time to eat, it's important to remove all of it
Yeah,
so that you can split it, but just one at a time, not at the
that's right.
same time.
Right.
Got
Yeah.
it. What about for people who have children in the home who are now having to homeschool?
Ah.
Do you have any recommendations or any tips about like where they should be studying? What would you offer to parents out there who have children in the
Mm.
household?
That's a great idea. It's hard to say, oh, all the kids should be in the children sector of the house,
Right,
because your children's sector might be the bathroom and my
right.
children's sector might be my kitchen or
Uh-huh.
bedroom, right? So every house is different, but generally speaking, I imagine if the kid is doing their homework on the floor, it's because they need to be on the floor. Or if they're standing by the counter and kind of dancing to music while they're doing their homework, that's
Hmm.
kind of like they know their best environment of how to process information in this new structure, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
this new order. So I would trust the kids.
Okay. And
Uh,
that's a good point because you just said like dancing to the music. That's bringing in yang energy, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what they need to study. They need that. We think as adults and how we were in college, right? We think you need more yin energy to focus, and which we did. I guess we did in college, right? But maybe kids need more yang to focus too.
Well, interestingly enough, when I work, I have music on.
Right.
I can't be in a space where it's too quiet, or I'll just fall asleep.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't want it to be, especially for kids. And again, there might be a child out there who really does need yin,
Yeah,
and that's fine. You know your own child. But
right.
I can imagine some parents, especially my generation, when we were in school, we had to sit at a desk all
Yeah,
day long,
right,
all day for every subject.
right,
Now schools are different. Kids move around more. The desks are more like tables. Sometimes they
right.
have like a bouncy ball that they sit on and those kind of things. And I think parents need to remember that kids learn differently, and for them to be more yang, having more
Yeah,
yang energy around them when they're learning may be exactly what they need,
yeah,
and to
maybe.
not be trying to make it more yin.
Right. Yeah,
Sit down, be quiet,
yeah,
focus.
trust what they're showing you.
Yeah,
And if they're showing progress, then they're following the natural rhythm of their own
right,
internal drummer, right?
right. That's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Do you have a story that you would like to share with us about how someone's life changed because they did
Oh,
feng shui? I'm sure you have a million of them.
do. Um, okay, who's coming to mind? Okay, so I worked with this family in Boulder, Colorado,
Okay.
and there was a husband, wife, and two kids, and the kids were in their late teens at the time,
Okay.
and the parents were just kind of on the edge of divorce.
Oh, okay.
They were struggling in their marriage. And
Hmm.
when I went and did a session with them, I noticed that their couch, the main piece of furniture in the living space,
Hmm.
was out of command. So
Meaning that you couldn't see the door.
you couldn't see the door when you were
Okay.
sitting in the couch. Very good.
Okay.
Both of their desks were pushed up against walls, so their backs were to each other, which is a
Oh,
big sign of we're not connecting.
okay. Yeah.
They were from Germany, and they have a tradition of having a bed that's like two twin mattresses pushed together and separate bedding for each side.
Oh,
it's very traditional.
Okay.
But that too felt like a separation energy that we should look at.
Yeah.
And so we put the couch in command position. We rearranged their whole living room. We rearranged the office space so that they were facing each other now. They still had their own areas, but they were facing each other. And they kept the twin beds. They kept the two little twin beds, but they got universal bedding. They got bedding that fit over the whole bed.
Okay.
But that was, you want to be careful not to take away something that is important to somebody.
Sure. Right.
So they kept their twin beds, which makes a king size bed, but they got king sheets that held the whole bed together.
Okay.
And a king duvet. The bed was also out of command, but there was nowhere else to move the bed. So we hung a mirror. So from the bed, they could look up into the mirror, which put them in command position. And that session was probably 10 years ago, and they're still together.
Wow. That's wonderful.
And they really spoke on how sometimes it was easier to turn away from each other rather than to turn toward each other. So when I saw the desks with their backs to each other, that was a big key for me, that it's easier to hide in your computer and in your work. They were both solo entrepreneurs too, in different businesses.
Yes.
Yeah. And during that session, last thing, their teenage son said, after he watched what we were doing, the teenage son said, "Can we do my room?" Which I thought was huge, that he could feel the difference.
Oh, so after the parent session, and then he knew, and he wanted to do his own room.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
we did, and that was great. Yeah.
You know, I work in mental health too. So there's people who, especially now with this pandemic and the stress is heightened for all of us to different degrees. That people, maybe even in marriages and within families, as unpopular as it is to say, but maybe some people, their coping mechanisms are to turn away, and just cope on their own. People we're all in grief right now. This is one of the things that people need to be aware of. We are all grieving, whether or not we've lost someone to COVID. We've lost our life that we knew it, and it happened like that, right? So we're all in different stages of grief, and many people grieve alone. Many people grieve alone, and you can even see that on Facebook. Just in life before all this happened, people will post the good stuff, but if there's a death in the family or something really tragic, they don't tend to post about it because we grieve alone. That's what we do. So I would imagine that now is a time where some families, or maybe many families, are doing this, turning away from each other in different ways.
And be great for, to reach out to mental health practitioners for help on how can we turn toward each other, how can we support each other, find new ways to talk to each other. Maybe have a family meeting once a week and process what's going on. Interestingly enough, the COVID-19 is affecting our lungs, right? And in Feng Shui, the lungs represent grief.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah. So I have a different kind of question for you now. So we've been talking about the house and changing the house and moving things around, which is what Feng Shui is. So have you ever encountered, maybe you get a call from somebody who says, "Hey, we need a Feng Shui consultant to come in and help us with our home, blah, blah, blah." And then you get to the house and you realize, oh, this isn't necessarily a Feng Shui thing. Have you ever encountered like a spirit or an entity or a psychic loop or something? And are you able to discern if that's there or not?
Yeah. Yes. And so Feng Shui is an energy medicine, an energy field, right? So, and after so many years of working in energy, you start to fine tune your own intuition. And I don't call myself a medium like you, but I can sense the presence of entities, of spirit guides, of angels, things like that. And I'll tell you one good story. I rarely sense a dark energy. Rarely.
Okay.
One time I did, but the angels came and helped clear that energy for us,
Okay.
yeah. But in this one place, this one client called and said that they just couldn't sleep because they kept hearing noise downstairs in their refinished lower level, right? Where they had a pool table and a TV watching area and some dressers and armoires and stuff. And they said, we just hear noise all the time. We can hear the doors opening and closing and the drawers opening and closing and the clanking of the pool balls.
Wow.
I know. It's like, oh, that's creepy.
That could spook some people for sure.
Let's meet during the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be bringing the Catholic priest with me. Don't mind him. He's here if we need him.
And fortunately, I feel it's like, I'm sure you feel this way too, that it's just a gift to be able to see what we see.
Yeah.
It's a gift, and it's channeled through us. It's not anything I lay claim to, but I was able to sit in that room with the client, and we were talking, and the entities started to reveal themselves. And I don't see shapes in our realm. I see them in my mind's eye.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And her whole family was there. Family from like a lineage of her family that went back from, back to the olden days.
Yeah.
People who have been long gone from this planet, right? And they were there because they loved her so much, and they just wanted to experience her life.
Yeah.
They wanted to be part. They were just hanging out, and they just wanted to be part of her life. And we had to have a conversation with them to say that that's lovely, but it's her turn.
Yes.
It's her turn to live in this realm, and that they can observe, but they need to observe from a greater distance away, and they can't interfere with her life.
Right.
And they all left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, I have found that many times when someone calls me about mediumship or they'll share a story with me about how they were spooked, right? Yeah. Which it sounds like your client would have been spooked by the pool balls clanking together, or doors. Of course, that's going to be spooky and scary for us, right? I've also found that when people share those kind of stories with me too, that it does happen to be one of their loved ones or someone on the other side who knows them. Unless it is someone who is more attached to the house than the people in the house.
I've had that too. I've come across that too.
Yep. But I explain things this way. We are all energy. I'm made up of energy. You're made up of energy. The house is made up of energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. Einstein proved that. So it's like when we leave the body, our soul, our spirit, our consciousness, our energy is what leaves. The physical body is just the shell, but our life force is actually the soul, right?
Right.
So that can't be destroyed, but that starts vibrating at a much higher frequency, high, so that we can't, in our normal lives, everyday lives as a human being, we can't perceive them because they're going so fast, right? And so when they lower and slow their energy down, sometimes it can be kind of clumsy. Sometimes it causes a door to shut, or it causes the pool balls to clank, or it causes something to rattle, because it's not always a graceful landing, so to speak. It can be more like boom, right? Like I'm trying to come down, I'm trying to be perceived by you, I'm trying to enter into be around you, be closer to you, feel you a little bit more. Sometimes it's not just that graceful, gentle piece. The graceful, gentle parts are the ones we don't ever perceive because they're graceful and gentle, right?
Right.
But it's that harsh drop in that we're like, oh my God, So that's how I make sense of it. And that's what I've been told and what I found to be true.
That's really so telling. Now I want to share one quick little story about a graceful moment. It was my own personal moment, and kind of like, I think the time where I started to see and sense things. And how even a graceful entry of an angel, I saw an angel in my space, can scare the living bejesus out of you.
It's not something you would expect to see.
No, and I was literally sweating and paralyzed because I sensed her in the room with me. I was in and out of sleep, and I had been having trouble with my shoulder, my collarbone and shoulder. And I just said, I don't know where it came from, but I just said, I know you're here to help me. And she adjusted my shoulder and then left.
Wow.
Yeah. And this was, good God, this was 20 years ago.
Wow. That is amazing.
I know.
And I believe it. I believe it.
Me too.
I believe it. Yep. We do have a whole unseen world that we have access to if we would just pay attention, if we would just be open.
Yeah.
Always willing to help us, always willing to nurture us.
It's really comforting.
It truly, truly is, especially in dark times, especially when, we are so stressed and feeling hopeless. We do have a whole unseen world that is loving us and cheering us on, and will do anything for us if we would just open ourselves up to it.
And sometimes you just have to say, I'm open, come to me in my dreams. Don't come to me in person. I had to set some boundaries. I don't want to see you.
And you know what, that is so true, because I had a client years ago for mediumship, and both of her parents had passed away, and she was having some phenomena in her house, and similar to the story of the family that you worked with, but things were turning on and off and really frightening her. And when I gave her a reading, it turned out that was her dad, who was, again, very ungracefully dropping down. And he was a big man in this life, like 6'4",
wow.
and 300 pounds, like a big guy. And his energy was big too. His personality was big. Everything was big about him. And so in the session, I had said, please stop trying to, she knows you're here now. She knows you're here.
Right.
Please stop trying to come down, because it's scaring her. And she told me that after that session, it all stopped. She could still sense her father around her. So he didn't leave, but he just knew not to keep dropping down, because it was scaring her. And he didn't want to scare her. He just wanted desperately to know, I'm here. His little girl was grieving him. I'm here.
Yeah. And you can always just say, if you sense something in your space, you can always say, I feel you around me, whoever you are, and I ask that you leave. You can observe from 1,000 feet up or 1,000 feet below, but not in my realm. This is my realm, and you have to go.
Right.
And sometimes you can open a window or a door and just give them a place to exit.
Yeah. Let that energy exit out. Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this really interesting talk. How do people get in touch with you? How do they find you?
Oh, yeah. So my website, inspiredlivingfengshui.com.
Okay.
My YouTube channel, Inspired Living Feng Shui. Inspired Living Feng Shui. Okay. I have a blog on my website. I have online classes on my website. And if anyone's interested in a session, I do see clients just like this, over technology all over the world.
And it makes I do want to say this too. It makes no difference if from an energetic perspective, for you to be doing a consultation with someone over the internet like this, they can easily, if they have the iPad or their phone, take you through the house if they need to, to show you everything. But it makes no difference. You don't have to be in person, do you?
You do not have to be in person. I would say a good 75% of the information that I need is coming from the sketch of your floor plan. So I can see the architectural design of your home and where you've put your decor. Okay. Long distance sessions, people send me pictures of their home or video of their home. Okay. So easy to do with our phones now.
Like, here's the knowledge section of my house. Click, right? And just so
And then we visit like this for, an hour or two, and we go through room by room, and we don't just look at the space, but we go really deep and we talk about, well, since your wealth corner is all cluttered, let's talk about your fear around finances, or your fear around your safety right now, or knowledge is the wrong color. We can just dive into, what is it that you don't know yet about yourself? What's the next thing you want to discover about yourself so you can walk your life path? Yeah. So we just go room by room, and we'll look outside too, because it pertains to your property as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you again so much for this interesting discussion.
Lisa.
You're right. We could talk for days and days and days about it. It's really, really fascinating. And sometime I will interview you again. Maybe we can even just dive into, I know one of the big things for people is money and relationships. Maybe we could dive in and get some real good information.
And career.
Career
is a big one too. Yeah. I would love that. Let's definitely do that.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and stay healthy and stay well.
Namaste.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.